Chosen one, listen closely. What you're feeling right now, the silence, the pressure, the disconnection from people and even from yourself, is not random. It's a sign. We've entered the final phase before a massive energetic shift, and September 15th marks a spiritual gateway that few will truly understand. But you, who was chosen, you feel it already. Warning, the universe is aligning forces that will awaken your next level of consciousness. But this moment requires preparation, awareness, and surrender. Dizzy, this is why your sleep is changing, why certain people are being removed, why you're questioning everything. You're not being punished. You're being positioned. And in this video, I'm going to reveal why September 15th is a divine marker in your spiritual path. Milky Way, what signs and symptoms confirm you're entering the awakening stage, and what you must do now to fully receive what's coming before it's too late. This message isn't for everyone, but if you felt like something is coming, like your soul is being pulled toward a deeper truth, then stay until the very end, because only there will you understand why this is happening to you and what you're really being prepared for. There are patterns you no longer question, silent agreements made in your past that still govern your present. They once served you, maybe even saved you, but now they bind more than they protect. This internal tension is not failure. It's friction between who you've been and who you're meant to become. Scorpio doesn't ask for small improvements. It demands the full shedding of illusion. And what feels like fear may actually be the threshold of freedom. Beneath your daily choices, there's an old promise you made to stay unseen, to stay safe. That decision may have felt wise when you made it, but it now keeps you circling patterns that no longer match your truth. The new moon in Scorpio reveals what you've outgrown, even if part of you still clings to it. The discomfort you feel isn't a punishment. It's your spirit outgrowing the shell it once fit into. Something in you is cracking, because something deeper is ready to rise. This isn't about fixing yourself. It's about releasing what was never really yours. Family beliefs, inherited fears, identities you adopted just to belong. All of it asks to be re-examined now. But this time, not with judgment, with clarity. You may not have asked for this reckoning, but you're ready for it. Not because it's easy, but because your soul remembers what it came here to become. The path ahead isn't paved with guarantees, but it does offer something else, alignment. And the only toll to cross this final phase is the false self you no longer need. You will not lose anything essential by letting go. What's real, what's yours, will remain. Scorpio burns away illusion so that purpose can emerge. And in this silence, what's been waiting for lifetimes can finally begin. Something inside you knows the timing is no longer random. You felt the restlessness growing, like a quiet hum beneath your daily routine. The new moon in Scorpio doesn't ask for surface changes. It demands transformation at the root. It brings an invitation wrapped in silence, to let go of what you've outgrown, even if it once saved you. Old patterns feel safe because they're familiar, but they were built for a version of you that no longer exists. And this final phase asks, will you protect the shell or rise from within it? There's a loyalty you've held to ideas that once defined your strength. You were taught to guard your heart, to survive by staying small, to keep your light dimmed so others wouldn't turn away. But something larger is knocking now, not outside, within. The very discomfort you feel is not a punishment. It's pressure from a deeper truth wanting to be lived. You are cautious, yes, but you also know when it's time to leap. And Scorpio doesn't wait at the door. It opens it with fire. This is not about proving anything. It's about choosing to release what is no longer you. Stories, roles, inherited fears that cling because you've always carried them. There is no need to hate them. They served a purpose, but they're not your purpose. What if you stopped fighting the part of you that's evolving and started trusting it instead? Under this moon, surrender isn't weakness. It's a return to alignment. You are not late. You are right on time for the moment that only you can meet. Beneath every doubt, there is a voice that remembers what you came here to do. Listen to that. Let it lead. And if fear rises, let it rise. Just don't let it decide. You've already survived so much. Now it's time to become who you were always meant to be. You thought you were on the right path. You followed the signs, checked all the boxes, and committed to what once felt like purpose. But something has shifted, quietly at first, then with a force that can't be ignored. The new moon in Scorpio doesn't whisper. It strips illusions, shakes foundations, and demands truth where comfort once stood. That tension in your chest isn't confusion. It's clarity trying to break through. What felt like falling off course is actually a deeper alignment unfolding. You were never meant to stay the same. And yet, it's natural to grieve the structures you built, even if they no longer serve you. Scorpio's energy is precise. It cuts away only what you've outgrown. This doesn't look like success. It looks like letting go of identities, plans, and timelines that once made you feel safe. But safety isn't the same as soul growth. You're not failing, you're shedding what was never truly you. This moment requires courage, but not the kind that pushes through. It asks for the courage to stop performing, to stop pretending, and to sit with the unfamiliar. You may feel disconnected from everything that used to guide you, mentors, roles, rituals. But the silence is sacred. It clears the space so something truer can arrive. Sometimes, the path forward is hidden until you're honest enough to admit you've been walking in circles. The transformation is internal first. You don't need to rush, rebuild, or even understand everything yet. Let what is ending end. Let what is dissolving dissolve. The new moon in Scorpio isn't here to soothe. It's here to awaken. And if you're willing to surrender control, you just might find a new kind of power waiting for you on the other side. One that was never outside you to begin with. You may feel like the ground beneath you has shifted, and in truth, it has. What once carried weight now feels hollow, and routines that used to guide you no longer fit. This is not punishment, it is preparation. The new moon in Scorpio tears away what is false so the authentic can finally breathe. You are not losing stability, you are losing illusions. What feels like collapse is actually space being cleared. Scorpio's gift is intensity, and that can feel like chaos when you resist. But hidden inside the breaking is a deeper order, a pattern you could not see while clinging to old maps. This is why your expectations are unraveling, not to strip you of direction, but to redirect you toward the path you came here to walk. Sometimes clarity only appears after the false lights have gone out. And now, that moment has arrived for you. Do not confuse endings with emptiness. Every cycle of Scorpio begins with surrender, but ends with rebirth. You are being asked to trust what you cannot yet see, to let go of the plan you thought was yours. A new alignment is forming, one that requires no performance, no forcing, no mask. It is not about effort, but about allowing. Your task is not to rebuild overnight, but to remain open as new truth reveals itself. This is the threshold before your awakening. To step through it, you must be willing to release your grip and let clarity emerge in its own time. Ask yourself what you've been holding onto out of fear and what part of you is ready to rise without it. The new moon in Scorpio is not here to comfort you. It is here to transform you. And when you surrender control, you discover the power that has been waiting within you all along. You've gathered knowledge, healed layers, spoken words of light. Yet, beneath all you've processed, one wound remains untouched. The one that shaped your fear of feeling too much, of revealing the parts of you no one clapped for. The new moon in Scorpio does not knock softly. It uncovers what's been sealed too long. But this exposure is not here to wound you further. It comes as release. What you've kept in the dark may hold the key to your highest purpose. There's a silence within you that speaks louder than any affirmation. You sense it when everything else quiets, in the pause before sleep, in the ache after achievement, in the longing that success never cured. That ache isn't failure. It's the signal. Scorpio doesn't ask for polished answers. It wants the truth, not the version you made bearable, but the one that makes your voice tremble when spoken. What if this is the part of you that was meant to lead? Healing isn't always about moving on. Sometimes it's about returning to what you abandoned in order to be accepted. The world taught you to be strong, but never taught you that strength includes honesty about pain. This lunar phase dares you to stop hiding what actually matters, your emotional truth. You've spent years managing perceptions. Now you're invited to feel something real enough to change everything. The moment you stop pretending not to hurt is the same moment life stops pretending to pass you by. This isn't about falling apart. It's about breaking open, so something alive can finally breathe. You're not being asked to be ready. You're being asked to be real. Because what you still fear revealing might be the exact truth that unlocks your next becoming. Something inside you already knows. The part you rarely let speak, the one that remembers everything you pretended to forget, has been whispering in moments of silence. The new moon in Scorpio brings this part forward, not as a threat, but as an ally. It doesn't ask for perfection, only truth. Not for others, for you. There's a version of yourself you've never introduced to the world, but it's the one meant to carry your purpose forward. You've become skilled at disguising pain as productivity, resilience as silence. But this phase doesn't reward emotional armor. It rewards surrender. Scorpio doesn't fear the dark, it transforms it. You're not being asked to dissolve, you're being asked to integrate. To sit with what you once abandoned and ask, what strength was buried in that shame? You don't have to fight anymore. You only have to feel. There is power in your most fragile truths. The ones that shake your voice, the ones you've never told out loud. Maybe no one ever gave you permission to be both soft and strong. But that permission is yours to claim now. What you feared would break you might be the very thing that frees you. When you stop running from your own depth, the universe responds. Not with chaos, but with clarity. This isn't about going back to who you were. It's about rising from what you survived and choosing to live from that honesty. Scorpio energy doesn't settle for surface stories. It asks, who are you when the mask falls? If you can face that, your path will unfold in ways no plan could predict. Not because you controlled it, but because you finally aligned with the truth only your soul could name. There was a time when you knew who you were, not by title, but by instinct. You trusted signals that others dismissed, felt truths long before they were confirmed. But somewhere along the line, you began to adapt. You quieted your insight to fit into spaces too small for your essence. Now, under the watch of the new moon in Scorpio, something deep and primal stirs. Not to remind you of the past, but to reclaim what was left behind in it. This lunation does not ask for your performance. It asks for your presence, raw, unfiltered, and unafraid. What you called survival became repetition. What you called strength became hiding. But Scorpio doesn't settle for surface stability. It demands transformation by fire, and not just any fire, but the one you buried inside yourself. The one you've avoided because you knew it would change everything. And it will. The return begins with recognition, not of who you were before the wounds, but of who you became because of them. The part of you that was exiled, the intuitive, the visionary, the mystic, still waits. Not with blame, but with patience. It understands that timing is everything, and now, time has arrived. You're not being asked to be someone new. You're being asked to return, as the one who has walked through the dark and lived to speak of it. Some call it destiny. Others call it calling. But you will know it by the weight it lifts when you stop pretending. What if your real power was never meant to be hidden? What if this phase is not about becoming more, but about reclaiming what never left you? The world may not notice the shift right away, but your soul will. And once it remembers where it belongs, nothing will silence it again. Somewhere along your path, you learn to shapeshift, to become acceptable, to protect yourself. You didn't lose yourself. You simply placed certain truths on hold. Your intuition, your sensitivity, your spiritual clarity, they didn't vanish. They just waited. The new moon in Scorpio doesn't knock gently. It enters like a pulse of memory, reminding you of the strength in what was once silenced. This isn't just remembrance, it's resurrection. There's a reason you're feeling this inner pull now. It's not nostalgia, it's precision. Scorpio rules the unseen, the unspoken, the undercurrent. It brings up what's been buried, not to haunt, but to heal. Every gift you denied to survive is now demanding a place in your life again. The timing isn't random. Something about this moment, this lunar gateway, makes it impossible to keep living in halves. You are being asked to stand, fully formed, in a space that once rejected your wholeness. That's not punishment. That's purpose. This is what reintegration feels like. Remembering that what once made you different is exactly what now makes you needed. And that inner silence you try to tame, it's becoming a language. It's how your mission speaks to you. No longer through pressure, but through presence. What would change if you stopped apologizing for your depth? If you allowed that part of you, the mystic, the messenger, the misunderstood, to rise without restraint? Scorpio asks for nothing less than truth in its final form. You're not returning to who you were. You're becoming who you were always meant to be. The part of you that never left, only waited, is ready to lead. There comes a moment when pretending becomes heavier than revealing. This new moon in Scorpio doesn't whisper. It eliminates illusions with surgical precision. It's not asking what you want. It's showing you what can no longer survive. If it trembles, it's not because it's weak. It's because something deep inside you is being unburied. You're not losing control. You're shedding layers that were never truly yours. What feels like crisis is often misnamed awakening. Not the kind that soothes, but the kind that slices through distractions and asks for a deeper allegiance. Scorpio rules transitions that can't be undone. A part of you is closing a door that no longer fits, and no one else has to understand it. This isn't about being seen. It's about finally seeing yourself. Beneath roles, beyond expectations. You were never meant to stay where it felt safe, but stagnant. Some part of your soul signed up for depth, and now, depth is answering. That stirring inside your chest isn't fear, it's truth rising. The kind of truth that doesn't ask for permission. It only asks that you stop pretending it doesn't exist. This moon isn't marking an end. It's initiating a sacred return to your original fire. This is your last breath before the leap. Not into chaos, but into clarity. You've spent lifetimes preparing to stand in this exact space. Uncertain, but undeniably alive. The universe isn't testing you. It's trusting you. The life that's calling can't be reached with the tools of your past. Something sacred is being carved in your silence. Are you ready to stop surviving and start remembering why you came? There is a silence that arrives before something irreversible begins. You may feel it as restlessness or grief, but what's really happening is a sacred dismantling. Scorpio does not ask you to improve what's broken. It asks you to release what's no longer true. That dream that once fueled you may have served its purpose. Now, your spirit wants something raw, something real. Not comfort, but convergence. You've carried layers that were only meant to protect you, not define you. But armor becomes prison when worn too long. This new moon is not gentle, it is precise. It knows where you've hidden your light and why you believed it was safer that way. What ends now is not your power. What ends is the permission you gave fear to speak louder than instinct. You don't need to fight. You need to surrender what isn't yours. Every calling has a cost. The version of you that fit in will not be the one that walks forward. This is the border between roles you performed and the truth you're here to embody. And while that leap can feel like dying, it's actually your return to aliveness. The fire you thought had faded is only waiting for space to breathe. And this time, you're ready to hold it, not hide from it. You are not being abandoned. You are being initiated, not into something foreign, but into the memory of who you were before the world asked you to shrink. This is your final threshold. After this, everything you touch will ask for authenticity. After this, your presence will ask for purpose. If you feel the burn, it's not punishment. It's passage. And what's on the other side is what you came here to live.